Hello and welcome to Speedcubing 101. I'm Cube Mom and this is episode 10, although I kind of feel like it's a bit of an episode 9B as well. I'm recording this as I wait for my daughter to finish her dance class. So yes, I'm sitting in my car. I say today's episode is episode 10, but it's also 9B because I need to follow up or correct myself on some of the things that were in episode 9. First thing is, when we were talking about what gear cubers need besides cubes, well, we forgot to include a pretty important one too, which is a mat. It is important to have a mat to protect the cubes as you're solving. There are plenty of speed cubing mats available, but in the meantime, you can use like a good thick placemat, or if any of you parents have a old mouse pad lying around, that could be useful in this case. When my kids were in forest school, sometimes they would take an old yoga mat and cut it up and use it as a sit spot mat. So that is an option as well. Get creative and look around. There are many different sizes of mats for speed cubing. Do keep in mind your cuber is going to want to bring their mat to a competition. So it's ideal to find a bag that will fit the cubes and the mat and the timer. So that wraps up that part. If you missed the last episode, it was on what cubers need besides cubes. And now for episode 10, I have a conversation with the parent of a cuber as well as a cuber himself. They are new to cubing, and you get to hear their journey so far and how this is a special activity for the two of them to share. May I introduce to you now Gonzalo Jimenez.
All right. Hello, Gonzalo. So good to have you here today.
Hello, hello. Thank you for having me.
I think you know, I got started with the cubing competitions by taking my cuber to watch 5 of them first to see if he's comfortable. Does he understand what's going on? We made 5 visits to competitions. You took a different approach.
I did.
You entered a competition yourself so that your cuber could see how it works and what happens and get that angle. So tell me, why? What what was behind jumping in yourself?
Okay, so what happened is I learned, well, I kind of taught myself how to solve like one side, one face of the cube, like more than 40 years ago. Like I think I was 8 or 6 or something around
So this is
that.
pre-internet.
Totally. Yeah, no, nothing. I just saw a cube. I think an uncle of mine had it, and I was curious about it, and I started to play around with it, and I was able to do that one face without any help. So I felt super smart, like, oh, I did
Wow.
it.
What did your uncle
But
say?
then, oh, he was happy, but obviously not happy enough because he said, you need to solve the whole thing. He's like, okay. But then I couldn't, obviously, and I tried many different ways, and it never happened. Like every time I tried to do a second phase, the first one
Mm,
was destroyed. So that never happened. So at the time, I was kind of happy with my
yes.
accomplishment. But then I learned, like my uncle and some of my cousins, they already knew and they had a cube and they taught me how to do the 6 phases, like the whole
Wow.
cube. And obviously, this is the time when the cube was super stiff, like really hard
Yes,
to
yes.
turn.
It was a Rubik's Cube, the
And I
original Rubik's.
learned it was the original Rubik's. Yes, exactly. And so I knew how to do it. And well, I guess I played with it for a few months and then forgot about it for years and years and years, right? Then we moved to Canada 12 years ago, 13 years ago. I don't even remember exactly. And actually, in the first job that I had here, I wanted to have something like to fidget in my
Oh,
office, right? So I decided to purchase 2 cubes,
oh,
one to have at home and one to have in the office. So I could play with it like from time to time since I knew how to do it. Well, I wanted to see if I remember how to do it, and thankfully I did. So I had my cube there in the office, and it was a conversation
yeah.
opener, right? Like when people came and see me for meetings, for instance, they, oh, you know how to solve that, and I say, yeah, I do, and I don't know, maybe it took me like 2 or 3 minutes to do it. Like it was a long time by today's standards, right? Like, but I knew how to do it. So then my son saw the cube once, like when he was 5 or 6,
Hmm.
around that time. And he got curious
Hmm.
about it. Like, okay, what is this? How it works? He started to turn it. And I said, sure, not a problem. I know how to solve it. So you can do whatever you want. And he really liked it. And then my wife found a set at the library where you get a 3x3, a 2x2, and a Pyraminx. So she got that from the library and it came with instructions. So my son started
Oh,
to play with
nice.
them. And I noticed they were way different. Like, oh, those are so cool. Like they move faster and they are not stiff like the other ones. That's interesting. And then I think, I don't know if it was a coincidence or whatever, but we watched the Speedcubers on Netflix. And then my son got even more interested in cubing. Don't say he learned how to solve the cube by using the instructions from the library. So then I don't remember how, but we learned about competition. Oh, maybe on Netflix when we saw that about
Oh, yeah.
competitions. And I asked him, would you ever want to go? And he said, yeah, maybe, why not? And that's why I said, you know what? I'm going to go
Mm.
first. I am going to compete. I know I'm going to be the last one probably because I use like a very old method, which is slow. Like a minute and a half is a long time for today's standards, right? But I want you to feel how it is. Like I want you to experience the environment, see like the people around, what you need to do, how you need to do it, and then you will see me doing that, and then you can decide. Like I think it was last year, so he was 7, and he said, "Yeah, sure, why not? Let's do it that way." And that's the reason why I said that.
Wow.
Like, okay, I don't mind being the last one in a
Yeah.
competition. I had to swallow my pride. It's like, okay. And I was going to be probably the oldest one as well, because usually competitors are kids or sometimes teenagers, I guess, some adults, but not many, right? And so I said, well, okay, doesn't matter. Let's do it. And that's why I did it. So I went. I didn't finish last. I think it was like 3 spots before the last one. So
So it's a
something like
win.
that. It wasn't the last one. Exactly. It was a win for me. I got my name and my score on the
Nice.
WCA official website. So that was good. And then next year, with this, my son decided, yeah, you know what, this time. So he went to his first competition. I think it was like a few months
Yeah.
ago, and then we went to the BC Championships, and both of us competed
Yeah.
this time. So it was amazing because I was able to be his judge, and he was able to be my judge, and we ran together. Like it was so much fun for
Okay,
sure.
so I have a couple of questions for you. So, backing up a little bit, you said you entered a competition, but how did you find out where the local competition was and how to register? Like, where did you get familiar with all that?
I think I just Google like cubing competitions, and then I found the WCA website. And then I realized, well, I needed to create. I started to read the whole thing, like, okay, what do I need to do to get into a competition? So, okay, I needed to create an account. So I did create an account for myself. How do I register? Oh, you have to pay. And then how do you find the places? So I looked for something close by, right? Like I didn't want to travel or anything like that. It's the first one. So we went. Then we were lucky enough that there was a competition very close to my place. So it was like a 10-minute drive or something like that. So we just registered for that one and like experience the whole process, right? Like the registration, the payment, and actually going, like finding the place and everything.
When you competed, so he's watching, he's cheering you on, I'm sure. What was the conversation like after the competition? Like, what was he in his reflection and his perspective?
I think the main thing was for him to experience what he was going to do, right? Like, okay, you will need to be like aware when they call your name. So you need to go to the table. So you need to be like looking for that person, the runner, telling you where to go and actually going, then making sure you follow the rules, like the 15 seconds for like the inspection and all those kind of things, right? Like, so it was more like a learning experience for him. And the idea was, okay, how do you feel about it? And he said, "Yeah, I feel ready. I can do it." And I think it helped in the sense that it wasn't just a big question mark. Okay, what is going to happen? Right? It's like he saw firsthand what is it to be in a competition. Like even though he wasn't part of the competition, he saw me doing all the things that he was supposed to be doing next time, and I think he felt more confident about competing.
And was your plan just to compete the one time, or were you actually thinking, "Oh, I'll compete again"?
I think originally I just wanted to compete that one time so he could experience the environment. But I believe that I like the environment, the community, and the people in there so much that I decided, you know what, I'm gonna compete again.
So your cuber was registered for the BC Championships first, and then you decided, "I'm up for the
Yes.
challenge to take you
Yeah,
on,
yeah.
kid."
So we started to do drills at home. So we did 5 solves with the scrambles, taking the numbers. Like actually, that was a good exercise for him to practice his writing and his math skills. So we were doing the whole thing, like the 5 solves, taking the average and all, like the best, the average time, and all those kind of things. And obviously, he needed someone to compete with. So I was the one, and obviously, he was always faster than I was. But it was
Yeah.
fun, right? So then I noticed there was still some spots available, and I said, you know what? I am going to compete too. Okay, why not? We're gonna be there, so why not? And so I decided to try 2x2 and 3x3. So last time I just did a 3x3. This time I decided to do 2x2 and three
And
by
did you
three.
know 2x2?
I learned 2x2 kind of together with him, but I learned like that a very, very beginner method, which was very slow. And now I'm learning more like faster methods. I'm still slower than him, of course, but I guess you compete against yourself
Yeah.
mainly, and that's the important part. Like, okay, you get better, and he sees me trying and learning and getting better, and he's also getting better. And at the end of the day, we're pushing each other,
Yes.
right? Like, okay, it's
And it's just fun.
totally, totally.
So I wonder because you have the perspective of warming up a first timer to join a competition and warming up yourself as a first timer to be in a competition. So, what suggestions or tips do you have for a first timer, whether it's an adult or a child or anywhere in between?
I think I would say, like, if you want to do this because you want your child to experience it, like, just do what I did. Just register. Your child will see what he or she will need to do during a competition. And if you want to do it for yourself, and if you don't know, just practice or learn and then practice and do some simulations, some drills at home. Like actually take your time, like take a timer and see how long it takes you to solve the
Yeah.
cube. And if you feel like you're getting better, I think the cutout is like 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Like even if you're slow, like you have 10 minutes to finish and nobody will judge you for that. Nobody will say
No.
anything if you take 10 minutes. I was kind of embarrassed the first time because I knew like I was going to take more than a minute, like maybe 2 minutes. And everybody else was doing like less than a minute or 30 seconds or even 10 seconds or things like that. And I knew it was going to be the last one solving, but I didn't care. I said, okay, it is what it is.
Yeah.
I actually was about to tell the runners, hey, you know what? Try to bring mine
Yeah.
faster because I'm the
We don't want to
slowest
delay
one.
the schedule too long. But it's also like my parenting hat comes on now too, is for your cuber to see you trying something where you know you're not going to come out on top, but you still have the confidence in yourself. Hey, I'm going to do this. I'm going to dive in.
Oh, totally. It's an example you said. And as I heard once, like your children will not do what you say, they will do what you do.
Yeah.
So if they see you doing things that are hard, they will do
Mm.
it too.
Yeah. If things that are intimidating or things that are unfamiliar, things that, yeah.
Mhm.
Well, no one wants to feel like a quote unquote loser, but if you know you're going to come in and maybe be one of the losers, right? Um, but everybody starts somewhere.
Well, and you can think about actually the losers are the ones who didn't even try.
Oh, thank you. That's me. I want to talk about another part of cubing because as a parent, yes, you have to get them there. You have to make sure they're fed and they didn't forget their cubes and all of that. But we really have one job, and that one job is to record the solves of the cuber. And so I'm curious because these are videos, our phones have only so much storage. I was talking to you before and a few in our WhatsApp group. I was asking some of you parents because I'm starting to need to figure this out. What is your system for storage for these solves that you take, the videotapes?
I just use Google Photos. So I have a paid Google account. I think it's 2 terabytes of storage or something like that. But what I like about it is that it is automatic, right? Like it's on my phone, I take the picture, I take the video, and it goes to the cloud right away. So when I need more room, I just delete whatever files I have, older files, and it saves room inside my phone. But if I need to watch the older videos, I just go on Google Photos and I can browse through the history and watch whatever because it will download temporarily whatever file I'm looking at. So that's enough in my opinion. But I'm a little bit like a geeky person, so I also have a network attached storage at home, which serves the same purpose as the cloud, but it has a different app. So I actually send my files to 2 different places, so to Google Photos and to my own cloud. So if I don't think it will ever happen, but if Google ever shuts down or dies or whatever, I'll still have my own thing in my own
Mhm.
NAS at home. But it may be not necessary, but
But but this is your system, and I asked you what your system is, so it's good to hear about it. I want to ask you, you've been to some competitions now, and BC Championships is a pretty big one, right? It's a 3-day event. What would you like to see as WCA grows, as things grow in BC? From your perspective, what would you like to see happening?
I think the main thing would be competitions more often, even if they are just 1 day competitions. Obviously, having like a 3 day or 2 day competition is great because of you see people like more often, like oh, I saw you yesterday, or I was your judge yesterday, and then you can
And you made
have
the
more
finals.
reasons to talk. Yeah, exactly. You have more reasons to talk with people and get more familiar with them, right? Like if there are competitions just like once or twice a year, it's like, okay, you don't see each other for a long time. Well, maybe, unless you do
Mhm.
something outside the competitions. But if we had competitions more often, then we would have more opportunities to see each other, share experiences, and those kind of things more often, which would be awesome, obviously. Right now, we are looking to see what options we have for competitions, and there is not much around here. So we would need to travel if we want to compete. And so that's, I don't know, that's not convenient, obviously.
Yes, yes. So there's definitely a need for more organizers.
Yeah, totally, totally. It's a lot of work, obviously, but it's so rewarding. It's great to see the children achieving what they achieve. Like it's so much fun. It's so rewarding. Like looking at their faces. It's
Mhm.
I
Yes,
don't know. You need to live it to
yes,
tell. Like it's
yes,
hard to describe, I think.
yes, yes. And so if anybody wants to live it and see it for themselves, you don't have to enter a competition. Obviously, since I went to 5 without no my cuber entering, just take a look, see what it's about, and get familiar with all the, like you were saying, what's a runner, and then you got to wait for your name, and then you follow the runner to the spot, like all the things that are part of the community. But really, a lot of it is when they're sitting at the tables, just hanging out, and oh, well, you've got a mega mix. Can I see it? Like, and then talking about your favorite channel and all those things. That's the other fun part is there's the competing and then there's the community and hanging out.
Totally. No, totally. And you can tell, right? Like there are people who have been doing this for years,
Yeah.
and you can tell the kind of bond
Hmm.
that is a form between them. It's like they become family pretty much.
Yeah. Yeah. But they're also each other's competitors. And that's what's beautiful, right? Because when you go to a hockey game, okay, this team gets this locker room, that team gets that locker room. You don't just share a locker room, right? And so they're competitors, but they're friends, and like, yeah, they
And they celebrate with each other. That's another
yeah.
different thing, right? Like they celebrate your wins and they celebrate their own wins and they all celebrate together. Like it doesn't matter how big or small your win is or may look to you.
Mhm.
It's like everybody's happy for you, everybody's happy for everybody pretty much. Yeah.
Yeah. It's a very positive, supportive, inclusive, encouraging environment.
Yeah, totally. It's funny. When I was solving, I think it was the 2x2, and I did my best time solving a two by
Oh, your
two, and I
PR.
was even surprised to see like how did I do that? And the judge, who was a little kid, telling me, "Oh, good job."
That's so sweet.
Oh, funny. It's like, okay, thank you. You're probably way faster than I am, and you're telling me I did a good job.
Well, they can see your happiness and your satisfaction that you were surprising even
Exactly.
yourself.
Yeah, and they share that and embrace that. Like it's not just okay, whatever. Like
Well, they know it. They've been there themselves.
I think that's why, right? Because they know, or it's either they know or they want to be on the same place. So either
Hmm.
way, they will cheer you on. They will celebrate with you because they either already had that experience before or they are close to have that
Yes.
experience and they want it as well. So it's not like, okay, I need you to lose so that I can win. It's not
Yeah.
like that.
Not
It's
like
like
that.
we all win. Yeah.
Okay. So I'm going to wrap this up, Gonzalo, but and I haven't mentioned this, we met at the meetup in July. So
Yes.
that was fantastic to get to know you and your family.
Thank
Um,
you.
thank you for your time, and I look forward to seeing you at the next comp.
That would be awesome for sure.
Okay.
And thank you for having me.
Thank you again. Happy cubing.
Bye.
And thank you, Gonzalo, for your time today. I need to remember to give you the audio file for your interview so you can have it when you and your cuber are much farther along in your cubing journey and be able to remember how it all started.
Here's your Cube News update.
Yes, for today's Cube News, one thing I was hoping to be able to announce, as you heard, Gonzalo was saying he wishes for more competition so he doesn't have to travel to get to a comp. Well, Gonzalo and I are actually organizing a comp. It's not quite ready for being announced publicly yet, but it made me think that if you are in an area where there aren't many competitions or you would like more competitions, you could also team up with another new parent or even a more experienced parent with organizing comps and make it happen that way. For our Cube News today, and this goes back to where I said it's going to be like episode 9B, even though it's episode 10, because I need to do a couple of things I didn't do in the last episode. One is, and thank you to Emily, Cube Mom Emily, gave me the exact instructions on how to find the Oregon State champions. So I'm going to share with you the Oregon State champions, and I will also be pronouncing this time Cube Mom Emily's Cuber's last name correctly, which I didn't in the last episode. So, like I say, come up to me at a comp or email me cubemomofficial@gmail.com, just like Emily did, if I ever mispronounce your name. And my apologies again. All right, let's go. Here are your 2024 Oregon State champions in 3x3 multi-blind, 5x5 blind, 4x4 blind, and 3x3 blind. Jason White. For square one, Ezra Fish. For Scube and 2x2, Ezra Severson. My apologies again for pronouncing your name wrong last time. In Pyraminx, Hudson Moore. In Megaminx and 3x3 fewest moves, Benjamin Gottschalk. For Clock, Abai Chimalapati. And for 3x3 one-handed, 7x7, 6x6, 5x5, 4x4, and 3x3, William Greninger. So congratulations to all the Oregon State champions. The state champions are listed on the cubingusa.org website. I will link to it in the show notes. But as Emily shared with me, and I'll share with you now, it's not a list the way a lot of results are shown on the WCA website. On the Cubing USA State Champions website, you need to click on the event, and that will show who the state champion is. I will put a screenshot on my Instagram so you can see it better and understand what I'm talking about. There are some exciting competitions happening this weekend in the Eastern time zone. Let's highlight some of those as well, right? Best wishes and safe travels to everyone at the Great Lakes Championships being held in Louisville, Kentucky. I'm chatting with a delegate or two to see if they are available to give a recap in an upcoming episode for the Cube News section of Speedcubing 101. Speedcubing Canada is also hosting the Quebec Championships this weekend, as well as a competition in Gander, Newfoundland. Have a great time, everyone. I wish you lots of PRs. Do subscribe to Speedcubing 101 to be the first to hear about new episodes. You can also follow me on Instagram, where I will be publishing announcements when new episodes are released. My handle is CubeMomOfficial. Again, that's CubeMomOfficial. If you have any questions, suggestions, or corrections for the podcast, you can message me there or email me at cubemomofficial@gmail.com. That's cubemomofficial@gmail.com. I'm off now to get a workout in because tomorrow I will be going on a little road trip for a comp as well. Happy cubing and go Cubers go.